All right, good evening. Welcome to Tuesday, January 9th, City Council Study Session. I will have our city clerk start with our roll call.
Mayor Kaylee Clark,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Karen Howe,
Here.
Councilmember Amy Lamb,
Here.
Councilmember Kent Train,
Present.
Councilmember Pamela Stewart,
Here.
Councilmember Sid Gupta,
Here.
Councilmember Roisin O'Farrell,
Here. All right, thank you so much. I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Deputy Mayor Howe, will you read our land acknowledgement?
We acknowledge that we are on the indigenous land of the Coast Salish peoples who have reserved treaty rights to this land, specifically the Snoqualmie Indian tribe. We thank these caretakers of this land who have lived and continue to live here since time immemorial.
Okay. Sorry, we're just looking at the agenda. So next up, we have, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All righty. Okay, so first up, well, pretty much all up, is that we have our interviews for our boards and commissions. We're going to start with our Arts Commission, and we do have a list here. We're just going to go down the list that was given to us by our city clerk staff. So first we have Vandana. And if you're either in person or online, I think you can raise your hand if you're online on Zoom and we can promote you. No.
So yes, Mayor, we had some people say they were going to appear via Zoom, but I do not see this first candidate who had indicated they would be interviewing via Zoom, so we would move to the next person.
All right, so the next person is it Chirag? All right, awesome. So you can step up, and as you are heading up there, I'll explain kind of what we're doing here. So each person will have 5 minutes total, so you can introduce yourself first, and then we'll have a question. So each commission kind of has their own question, and I'll just go to my left and then loop around to Councilmember Stewart and Councilmember Lamb in order. So Deputy Mayor Howe, you are going to be asking the Arts Commission question, which we are doing first. Yeah, so it's a total of 5, so it'll be kind of, you have 5 minutes to do an introduction and to answer the question. So you should be able to see on the thing there, it'll kind of turn yellow when it's kind of running out of time, and then I'm not sure if you can see the timer up there, if it actually has the clock wind down, but we will let you know. So Deputy Mayor Howe, and then you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
So hopefully that's clear, and if it's not, please ask questions, okay? Okay, so your question is, what topics would you like to see the Arts Commission work on during your tenure if you're appointed?
A resident of Sammamish for the last 9 years since our family moved here from Woodinville. In terms of introduction, professionally, I make promises for a living. That's a different way of saying I'm in sales. I work for a data and AI company. On the personal front, I consider myself to be an artistically inclined person. In my childhood, I taught myself to play various musical instruments, was part of a band, and I would say I have been an amateur musician all my life, but 10 years ago, I launched my first album. Some people on TikTok picked up some of my songs and started releasing videos, these millennials, and with that, I do get some royalty. It's not life-changing, but it's a feel-good factor. Why I got interested into this position, I think, I've been in the industry for almost 25 years, and a couple of years ago, I felt that there has to be more to what I do rather than, going to work. Of course, family, friends, all of that is there, and how I can give back to the community in some way. And, starting last year, I joined a couple of organizations locally here. One is a data organization, not-for-profit, called DEMA, and I serve on that board. Then I also joined HIMSS, which is a healthcare organization. I serve on that board. And I find that very fulfilling. And so when I came across this opportunity, I thought, what are some of my other talents that I can put to use in giving back to the community? And this sounds like an interesting role. Now, this is the first time I'm here in this room. I have seen these names on those, when the election season is there, so first time seeing all of you in person. But, so that's what drew me to this, firstly. Now, to answer the question about what I think Arts Commission could do in the coming year. So my understanding of Arts Commission is, of course, we see a lot of art around the city, whether as sculptors or sometimes there are, murals on the electric boxes. So I think it's the Arts Commission which takes care of all of those things. I had some ideas, and then today I followed the city of Sammamish on Instagram, and I noticed that ideas that I have, they're already being implemented. For example, there is the event which happened last month, and there's one more planned, more of a artist showcase. So I think while it is important for the city to make it a visually appealing city, so that is something which the city should continue to do. So that will be one topic, a focus area. Secondly, it is also important to engage the community more and more. So if we can plan and execute more events, as the kids who go to school, they have a lot of events to participate in their school, but for grown-ups and adults, if we can organize some art competitions, if not art competitions, maybe a painting by the lake. So if we can create such opportunities for people to come together and spend time, engage with others in the community in that way. So those are a couple of ideas. And third area which occurred to me was, I believe there would be some budget that the Arts Commission would have that they would allocate towards promoting some local artists, whether from the state, maybe nationally as well. But there's always a limitation of space, right? There is only so much physical space, and then also time, because if you have one wall, you put something up there, it goes away. So if there was a digital presence for the arts, whether it's in the city hall or even if it is online, so that the art can live longer, it could be promoted through social media. So in summary, three areas. One is making the city more visually appealing. Secondly, more community engagement, creating events and opportunities for people to engage via art. And thirdly, something on the digital side, both social media as well as some digital mural kind of areas.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So next up, we're going to kind of go through and interview everyone, and then we'll take a little ballot vote, and we'll do the totals after that.
All right.
So you may be seated.
Thank you.
Pardon, Mayor, the Zoom caller is on the list now, so
Awesome.
Vandana.
Let's go with them first, and then after that will be Sudeshna.
So I can read the question again, right? Yeah, I think they haven't been promoted yet, okay.
And there should be the option to turn your camera on if possible.
I'm trying. Give me 1 minute.
Well, while you're turning on your camera, what I can do is just also give, in case you missed just the general instruction in the beginning, just that as you have this time period, you can introduce yourself in addition to answering the question. So hopefully that's
All right.
clear.
All right, give me 1 minute.
No, you're good. This should be the least stressful thing today. There.
Can you guys see me?
Yes.
And is there a way
All
to
right.
show the 5-minute timer as well? Awesome.
All right,
Whatever
thank
magical
you.
person did that.
So my name is Vandana Verdia, and I've been a resident of Sammamish for the last 14 years. And, when this opportunity came about, I was very interested in, pursuing it, mainly because I come from not only a design background, but I'm also somebody who is a practicing program manager in marketing. So, I look at this opportunity as, to give back to the city that I've been living in for the past 14 years, and also a chance to engage with the community. So, I'll jump right in, and I've actually written down a few points. I'm going to read those as I, talk more into the points. So, as I was saying, I come from a design background, so I am a fashion designer as well as an interior designer, and I am currently working as a consultant for, a tech company, and I. I'm a marketing program manager for the go-to-market retail programs in the tech company. And what I envision is, during my tenure in the Arts Commission, I think I'll explore a range of topics that not only celebrate artistic expressions, but also strategically, engage, the wholesome community that we have. And there are, 4 or 5 points that I would like to talk about. The first is community-driven design projects. The second is sustainability. The third would be public art installations. Fourth would be cultural diversity and inclusion. And the fifth is, digital storytelling, which is something that the earlier participant also talked about. So let me just go a little more into each of these points. So when I talk about community-driven projects, I'm talking about engaging, the residents actively to participate in creation of public art, pieces. When I talk of sustainability, I would like to see sustainable design practices that incorporate eco-friendly materials, recycling initiatives, and also educating the community on all of these intersection of sustainability and design. Secondly, the third point I was talking about was public art installation, which would be something, where we nurture a community collectively and install maybe, murals and, things like those. And the fourth point that I was talking about was the cultural diversity. So as we see Sammamish as a melting pot with varied people from different cultures and races, and so I would like to see, the city endorsing initiatives that highlight not only the various cultures, perspectives, and background, but also, make the city richer, in, these cultures as well. And last but not the least is the digital storytelling, that the previous participant also touched upon, and basically just leveraging all the digital platforms to engage, not only with the community but even beyond, and highlighting, what the city of Sammamish has been doing, and also, trying to bridge the gap between the community and promote a deeper appreciation for the arts. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right,
Thank you for the
Sudeshna?
opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sudeshna Dixit, and I've been an arts commissioner in the past, and I hope to be one in the future. I've been living in Sammamish for about 24 years now, and I've always dedicated a lot of time and efforts into making sure that arts and culture is accessible for everybody my focus has been on the east side. And I've been on the commission, I've enjoyed being on the commission, and there are some things that I want to focus on this year. I've written it down, I'm getting old, and I forget a lot. So I'm just going to read it out. All right. So as I mentioned, I've had the privilege of serving on the Arts Commission for several years, and I'm very enthusiastic about the prospect of continuing my advocacy for the arts as a dedicated community member, a member of Sammamish, and I'm eager to contribute my skills and passion to foster a vibrant and inclusive arts environment in Sammamish. My goal for this tenure would be to enhance the beauty of the city by creating engaging and interactive art installations and activities that are accessible to all of us, while giving an opportunity for local artists to showcase their skills and work, while also giving them opportunities to apply for arts grants that the city already sponsors. A key aspect of my focus this year will also be on literary arts. I'm actually working with KCLS right now to figure out how we can bring this program and make it a sustaining program and involve all the high schools out here, and just give something for the youth to do. That's kind of what I'm already working on. In my role as the Arts Commission, my primary focus will also be on developing and implementing an arts strategic plan, which is also in the works, but I'm on the committee and I really want to see that happen. Understanding the unique ecosystem of our city's arts scene is crucial for effective planning, and this understanding will serve as a foundation for all the strategic initiatives that we are planning to address this year, and the specific needs and aspirations of our community, just getting a better understanding of that. I'm committed to working collaboratively with fellow commissioners to create a plan that reflects the diverse cultural aspects of and the landscape of Sammamish and its residents. I would also like to continue my focus on effective communication and engagement strategies within the community, within the commission, as well as the city and the community, and representing the commission in advocacy and regional presence. So I've kind of been doing that work a little bit last year. I was part of Inspire Washington, where we actually went and did some advocacy at Olympia just to, get more money for arts and culture, and I'd like to continue that work as well. Equally important to my role will be supporting fellow commissioners in their work. I believe that a collaborative and supportive environment within the Arts Commission will lead to more impactful and well-rounded initiatives. And by working together, we can leverage our diverse skills and perspectives to create a thriving arts community in Sammamish. So I'm very excited about the opportunity, and I hope to continue all the work that I've been doing. And thank you for the consideration.
Great, thank you. Greg?
Hello, my name is Greg Janke. I am reapplying for position number 9 of the Art Council. I joined in March of last year, filling a vacant spot. So in my time here, I've been learning how the commission operates, and my primary goal is to get sculpture gardens throughout the city, whether it's on the commons, parks, other open spaces. To me, outdoor sculpture helps define a level of culture to a city that is completely accessible to all who can get out and enjoy it. So that's my primary goal. My secondary goals would be to help continue pushing the agenda forward that we've been working on over the last year. As Deshna said, we are working on a strategic commission or a research program to be put in front of council to be approved. So I'd like to see the work we've been doing on that move forward. And thirdly is I've been living in Sammamish for 24 years, and I want to see public art be an indelible part of the community. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Shawnee? And if you're online, if you will just raise your hand and we can promote you.
I do not see her on the Zoom.
All right, we will hopefully come back. Venkat? Awesome. Yeah, please step up. Do you need the question again, or are you all good?
No, I got it.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Venkat. I started living here in Sammamish from '98, and I took a trip to India for 10 years, and I'm back here now. Um, we're talking about art and installations and all that. Yes, that's true. We could do better because in '98, this 228 was a 2-lane, if you remember right, and there were a lot of Christmas lights every post, right? There was none this time, right? Maybe 1 or 2. I mean, if you go to Issaquah Highlands, that looks like Bellevue. We have nothing, right? I mean, we could teach people or get people to teach, right, how to make those things and then make those installations. I mean, at least during festival times, we haven't done that. And what the house that I sold, I can't get back now because it's twice the price. Okay, I mean, we've got tax from all that, but the installations have come down. Okay, so here is I've written down a few things. I'm a violinist. I teach violin and I teach math here. My wife teaches dance here. We're very much into the arts, right? I have a few things that I would like to put forth. There is painting venues that we could create, meaning like a art gallery, right? People could do whatever they want, and they could bring it in, right? The city could advertise and then conduct the event and cover the insurance because these installations they do cost money at the thing, and then. Again, for musical gear, when we have music nights, right, we should encourage these people to come, whether it's a band or a quartet, or students who learn in the city, from artists in this city, to come over and then display their arts, right? Bring students mainly, right? We pride ourselves, Northwest being the center for nice nature photography. But you look around here, there's only a Google map, right? There's no photography installations anywhere, even in this place. I mean, you go out there in museums, you see photographers who have given their work. I mean, even volunteers could do that. We don't see anything here, right? And so we could also have something like painting appreciation night, right, where you put it up on the thing and then invite some artists to come and explain. Kids could learn how to appreciate music, how to appreciate art, things like that. Then we could have literature, poetry, renderings, right? There are lots of people that, there are lots of students here in the high schools that can do that, right? Stage fright is something that's really bad, but, you should encourage events every night somewhere in some room so kids can come and then we either debate on some topic or, they're doing all muns and everything else, right? So they could do these things as well. I mean, poetry, literature. We have to foster those things in them, right? So music, arts in the sense of literature, and then we could have short plays happen, right? Not much, but, just rendering of it, just to get the stage fright out and things like that, and then have them express, right? We should be able to get a bit of crowd to appreciate that, have a venue where they could do that. See, these all require small things where, there needs to be an usher who needs to be paid hourly, or there needs to be some insurance that needs to cover certain things like, music gear, things like that. The city could take care. City need not do the talent part. The kids in the city will do the talent part, right? And then refreshments, of course, could be sponsored, right? And souvenirs, for instance, right? See, when I used to teach violin early on, my kids participated in, my students participated in nonprofit organizations, right? And then they would get certificates. And they were placed in Stanford and Chicago and UW, of course, and then other places, Princeton and so on, just by that, because they had like 12, 13 places where they played, right? I mean, and they contributed to nonprofit. So those things can be done. So I'd like to participate to see if these things can be done. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. And did we get our last person online?
I do not see the applicant on Zoom.
All right, thank you so much. So council, I believe at this moment we can cast our ballots. And then I think, Krista, you're collecting them. And we did discuss if everyone's okay with, I think the person who receives the most votes, especially when we get down to like the Sustainability Commission, can start with the greatest amount of years, if that makes sense. And so like for here we have 5 open terms, one that ends next year, 2 years, and then 3 years. And then I think if anyone returns to the commission, if they would like to keep their seat, whatever's easiest for the clerk's office as well. Does that make any sense? So vote for 5. Yes. All right, sounds like we have the last person trying to join. Councilmember Gupta?
So while we're waiting, all we need to do is mark yes or no for each candidate, right? And then
Yeah, I think like an X or a check mark will work, Krista, is that right? When we do vote, an X or a check mark? Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So just, could I just ask you, and Greg, is everybody, who is all on the planning committee for the strategic plan? Is it everybody or just some people? Just some people. Just some, yeah. So you two are both on? Yes, and there's Ann Hughes and maybe one more. Okay, thank you.
Are you seeing her on there yet? Or if there's a call-in number. We do have a call-in number if you want to, yeah, sorry. Apologies while we're still waiting. So after we do this, next up will be the Beaver Lake Management District, then Human Services.
Mayor, if I may?
Yeah.
Perhaps we could, since the Beaver Lake Management has only one person, we could go through that one and then come back to if the candidate is able to get online.
Awesome. That sounds great. So smart, Scott. Oh, okay. Councilmember Stewart is smarter. Mark?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. And Councilmember O'Farrell will read your question.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Why are you interested in serving on the Beaver Lake Management District Advisory Board?
Excellent. Thank you. I'll start with just a general introduction. First of all, good evening to you all. Again, my name is Mark Stendel. I live on the south end of Beaver Lake, and my wife and I have lived in this area for 32 years, back when it was unincorporated King County, before, I think, 1999, when we got this fantastic Sammamish. A little background, I'm a retired television producer. I had the great fortune of creating and producing shows for NBC, ABC, and Discovery networks. And one of the Hollywood ironies, I was Dick Clark's boss on the NBC show. I got an opportunity to produce shows for 4 American presidents. Earlier in my career, I met my wife at Como Television, where we were both young TV reporters. And for the record, I totally married up. I got a chance to kind of cap off my career in broadcasting as a partner on an East Side production company called Mighty Media, and I had the great honor of producing worldwide productions for Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella, who I'm a big fanboy of. Why are you interested in serving on the Beaver Lake Management Advisory Board? It's genetic, okay? I joke. Community service was held in very high esteem in my family growing up. I had a couple great examples of giving to the community. Both my grandfather and my father were mayors of the small town of Cedar-Woolley, Washington. So it's got to be genetic, I think. I've tried very much to follow in their footsteps of showing great volunteerism and community efforts, and have served on about a half a dozen boards and nonprofits. I've had a chance to produce about a dozen videos in support of those boards and nonprofits. Currently, I'm president of the Beaver Lake Community Club and president of Friends of Beaver Lake. And I was the founder of the BLT, the Beaver Lake Triathlon, that started many years ago. So serving on this board, I see communication being very, very important, and especially with one hand knowing what the other hand is doing. So there's potential for me as president of the Beaver Lake Community Club and knowing what's going on in the community to work on the Lake Management Board and kind of be hearing from both meetings and if possible to be an emissary kind of reporting back and forth between both of those organizations. Just as importantly, I really have a passion to protect this beautiful lake that I've been living on all these years and the surrounding wetlands. With a balance, really, of the opportunity to let people in Sammamish use this amazing, amazing recreational jewel here. So in wrapping up, thank all of you for considering me for this position. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So for the Beaver Lake Management District, we do have 2 positions and 1 applicant so far. I think we'll probably open that one back up. So I'm not sure if the other person is online, Krista, but we can vote for this one now if you would like, or you let us know.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, and it appears our caller has called in, but will not be able to turn the camera on because calling via phone.
Yeah, totally fine.
Go ahead and vote on Beaver Lake if you'd like.
Great, and then you can promote her. Thank you. As these are tallying, I'm not sure if you have a favorite number between 1 and 2, if you were to choose a position number.
2 is my lucky number.
It is, okay. Still, we'll wait, but I have a good feeling about this.
Is this the mirror test? You know the mirror test, right?
No, yeah.
Put a mirror under their nose. If they fog it up, they get it.
Oh, yes, apparently, yeah. All right. So the spreadsheet does math like I do? Yeah, all righty. All right, well, thank you so much. Congratulations, Mark. You are position number 2, and your term will end December 31st, 2026. Thank you so much for volunteering and for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we will move to our last Arts Commissioner, applicant.
Would you like me to reread the question?
Hello?
Hi there. Would you like me
Hello?
to Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Thank you.
Very good. Would you like me to reread the question?
I would really appreciate that.
No problem.
you.
So you have 5 minutes, and this is an opportunity to
Okay.
introduce yourself briefly. And the question is, what topics would you like to see the Arts Commission work on during your tenure if you're appointed?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for, considering my application. I had some trouble joining in. I appreciate the patience. My name is Shani. I've been a part of the Arts Commission since 2021 when I relocated. Sorry, 2022 when I relocated from Alabama to Washington. That was our first year here as a family. It's been an incredible journey getting to live in Sammamish and being part of the Arts Commission and growing with the community. As part of Arts Commission, over a period of time, there are some key areas that we have focused on, which is we've been doing some art. We've been working on art installations, like public art installations. We've definitely worked on cultural diversity and inclusivity. We have tried to support artists, emerging artists, and also do a few just pop-up art activities, and among the many other things that we have done. So, and there, as an art commission, all of us bring in different strands, and I think I personally, out of the very many areas that we have identified, I think I would like to champion at least 3 areas that I'm extremely passionate about. One definitely is cultural diversity and inclusivity. I would like to focus on projects that celebrate and sort of showcase the diversity of cultures that's very inherent to Sammamish. And, just sort of spread more awareness about inclusivity and foster that understanding in the community. So that's cultural diversity and inclusivity for sure. I am a great proponent of art projects that are collaborative. What that means is that brings together people to create a common art piece. So it would be very, very interesting to explore that area. It's a different sense of belonging when you do that. And then the third one is that I personally would love to do is sort of focus with younger children, more like make art more visible and more, with screen time taking so much away from our children, bringing in the creativity of art and seeing art around them, I feel has become even more important now, and that's where I would like to focus. That's the other area, and this is just while everything's important, these are the three that I feel more passionate about. And I'll stop here. Thank you so much. I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for joining. All right, Council, you can cast your votes, and you are voting for 5. All right, thank you so much. So our congratulations to Vandana. How do you pronounce your name? Chirag? Chirag. Sudeshna, Greg, and Venkat. So I think as far as position numbers go, I'm not sure if those that are reapplying will just keep their old position numbers or if that's something you all figure out. But it sounds like if we did, let's see, most votes to least votes. Ben Cat would be on until January 31st, 2025. That's position 2. Vandana would be on until January 31st, 2027. And then the rest, I think, are kind of a free-for-all. Sorry, I was making sure. Is that good, Krista?
Yeah, it just seems like, the 3 highest, we get the longest terms, so they might switch seats, but that,
Okay.
I think that's allowed. I'll have to verify that that's okay.
Awesome.
You'll-
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
You're on. You might have a different number. So, thank you.
Yeah. The appointments will be finalized next Tuesday at the council meeting, so we will figure it out officially and approve it by resolution.
Great. Thank you so much. So we have a week to figure out numbers. If there's a number preference, please let Krista know. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you. And thank you for applying. All right. Next up, we have our Human Services Commission. Councilmember Gupta will be asking the question. And we are starting with Sarah. I don't know if you're in the room or online.
Okay, yes. Sarah had indicated that she would not be interviewing tonight.
Not, okay.
Correct.
And that's the same for the last person here? Is it Syed?
We also had a written response by
That person.
Saad. I apologize if I mispronounced the name. So,
Okay.
but we have one applicant via Zoom.
All right, is Ramya is on? Okay, great. So when they're promoted, Councilmember Gupta will read their question and give them the instructions. Thank you.
Hello all, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. And Councilmember Gupta will bring you up to speed.
Great. Thank you very much for applying. Are there any gaps in programs or policies related to the work of the Human Services Commission that you would like to help the city address? Please explain. You have 5 minutes, including time for an introduction.
Thank you so much for having me today. Hello all, I'm Ramya Annam, a mom to a teenager and a passionate advocate for holistic wellness. I've been an avid meditation practitioner since my teenage years, and I also have been a heartfulness meditation trainer for 8 years now. I'm also a program manager at a startup in Atlanta-based company. I'm very excited to be here with you all today. It's been 3 years since we moved to Sammamish, and we called it our home. What could a resident of a city that has been the best schools, amazing nature, and safe environment for all, clean water to drink, and great transportation be lacking? These were my thoughts when I was applying for this position. That made me reflect on my own life as a resident. And I looked at myself once again, only found to be in a place of abundance and a supportive community to live in. This is when I felt a great sense of gratitude, and while feeling grateful, deeply grateful, it occurred to me that my biggest strength and blessings was how I managed my life with a calm mind and a confident self. As we integrate as we try to integrate health into human services, the future vision is one where the distinction between the health and human services fade, both in theory and operation, and wellness is defined by holistically as a function of person's social, economic, and physical and mental state, which is when I remembered instances where I used human services offerings or resources, one of them being senior activities and transportation while my parents were in the city. When I asked my neighbors about the services offered, they had no clue about any of the resources. That got me think that perhaps, although we have these offerings, it is not reaching one and all as it is intended to. When people need help, it's also very hard for them to grind through multiple pages of information, and we definitely got to do some improvement there. That's one of my suggestions. On reading more about Human Services Commission, I found that perhaps I have something to offer that is not being offered currently. Peace of mind as a tool for holistic wellness, a powerful tool for prevention of mental health issues, a simple, heart-based, meditative lifestyle approach that has kept me going for over the years. And my suggestion to all present here is to use preventative mental wellness programs rather than finding solution to the problems. Guided self-service tools and regular exercise regimes, which is made visible and also make them available through better marketing practices on our website. You may wonder how a simple meditative practice will solve the problem, but it's more like a butterfly effect, which rests on the notion that world is deeply interconnected and one small occurrence can influence a much larger complex system. That's my understanding of it. I also have a very suggestion which involves our senior members, which is very meaningful to me. I feel that the transfer of knowledge through generations is not happening. They have so much to offer, especially our elders and seniors. Whenever available, will be most wonderful gifts that can happen to community, especially youth. Our elders have so much knowledge and wisdom to transfer. If we can use their wisdom to involve our youth, it can be as simple as teaching our youth a cooking skill or making a boat, or as simple as adapting to change to everything around. Who else can teach that better to a youngster? With that, I'm complete. Thank you for listening and giving me an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. All right, so Sarah was not able to make it, and Sayad did send us all a kind of letter of intent. So if council, you'll take a look at that and then cast your votes for 2 people. So we have 2 4-year positions.
And just for the record, I will be posting the written comments from the one applicant, just so people can read it if they're curious. Thank you.
Great, thank you, and thank you so much. So congratulations to Ramya and Sayad. Thank you so much for applying, and you both will be on until January 31st, 2028. So congratulations, and thank you all. All right, next up, we have our Parks and Recreation Commission. Councilmember Treen will be asking the question, and I know we have one. Is it Nancy that is will not be able to attend? So first up, we have Sina. Great, thank you. Yeah, please walk up, and Councilmember Treen will give you the instructions. Thank you.
Hi, Sina. Just right here at the mic there, the podium. And so the question tonight for you is, are there any gaps in programs or policy related to the work of the of the Parks and Recs Commission that you would like to help the city address? And then explain that. And then you have time to tell us who you are.
Yeah, I'm Seena Vijay Narayan. I'm staying in Sammamish itself for the past 9 years, going to be a 10-year long gap. So I would like to address I feel a lot of recreations for the kids, for the adults. There are a lot of things going on, but I feel for the elderly people, I feel there should be some kind of meet and greet events or something which would be helping them to recover from, because it's quite difficult with their old age. It's becoming difficult at staying at home and those things, so that the parks and recreation areas would be helpful for them, I feel, and really development of the parks, maintaining the waters and those things for the healthy environment. That is the main thing for me, I feel, because rest of the things I have seen, because the lot of events for the kids are in the events are happening over there. But for the old age people and a lot of diverse community parents who are coming over here, they also need an environment where they can meet and greet a lot of people living over here, having a good environment with the community staying over here. So it should be like involving every people, every kinds of people of every age group, which will help a healthy environment to all the community members staying over here. Not even here, it's from the other environment also, other people staying in the other areas, which will be helpful for their and for the young generations, for them too. That would be a better thing, I guess. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. All right.
And it's just one more word. It would be. It's really an honor for me, because I have never gotten opportunities to stand in front of you. So this is the first time I'm applying for this. It's a great honor for me to meet you all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do see that you've also applied to, I think it's a Sustainability Commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please stay for that as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Anna?
Hi, everybody. I'm Anna Yorba. I have lived in Sammamish for 8 years. My professional background is as a landscape architect and land use planner. When I first came here, I moved here from Honolulu 8 years ago, and I just love the cool weather, the forest, the natural environment here. And as soon as I got here, I started volunteering with the Parks Department. I took the Habitat Steward training and then the intensive Master Native Plant Steward training in 2019. I became involved with Sammamish Stewards, which is a coalition of stormwater stewards, wildlife stewards, and native plant stewards. I've worked on habitat restoration projects at Evans Creek, Ebright Creek, Beaver Lake Park, East Lake Sammamish Park. My pet project is the Lower Commons Native Plant Garden. I and my garden buddies have cared for that garden for the last 4 years. We started out clearing out all the underbrush, planted understory, and installed plant name tags so that the people walking through the park could begin to get familiar with our native plant communities, and as becoming familiar with them, also kind of have a relationship with them. As far as the park programs that I'm most interested in, I think the most urgent task is preservation of open space. That's a keystone to all the other functions. Along with that is the importance of linking education to environmental protection. Not only is it essential to understand our ecosystems, but we need an involved community to protect them. Because we're dealing with ecologically disturbed systems, volunteers are essential in taking care of our open space. The steward community has had a wonderful relationship with the Parks Department, especially Sebastian Ritaco and Francine Sanchez are doing a great job of organizing volunteer events. But there's also a need to prepare trained volunteers for ongoing projects. Most of the stewards' park projects are independently managed by skilled volunteers. We like the independent park, but many of these stewards are elders and could use some help. I don't want our accomplishments to fall through the cracks if an individual volunteer cannot continue. There's opportunities for support from Parks and Recreation in coordination of existing trained volunteer activities and training of new volunteers, documenting work sites with a plan for future management, as well as signage explaining the projects, and facilitating public education programs. Volunteers are an invaluable resource whose impact is magnified by efficient coordination of efforts. I would like to see a pipeline of competent trainees who are able to continue this progress in the future. And I want to thank the Parks Department and staff for the great work they have done and the joy of collaborating with them. And that's it. Any questions? No. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. All righty, so council, cast your vote for 3 commissioners. Oh, 2. Why does it say 3 vacancies? 1 2-year and 2 4-year.
I'll say too that I am applying for the 2-year position.
You are applying for the 2-year, okay, thank you.
One person has applied for 2 commissions.
Yeah.
But here it says on our sheet, there's 3 positions.
So we have 3 vacancies. Please vote for 3 people. And Anna would like to be on for 2 years. Great. While these are tallying, so Sina, things are looking in the positive for the Parks and Recreation Commission. I know you did also apply to the Sustainability Commission. Would you accept Parks and Recreation and forgo the Sustainability? Yeah. Okay, great. Awesome. So Sina, Nancy, and Anna, thank you all so much and congratulations. Sina and Nancy will both be on until January 31st, 2028, and Anna is on until January 31st, 2026. Congratulations. Thank you. Does anyone need a break, council? You guys good? Keep rolling? All righty. So next up, we have Planning Commission. Councilmember Stewart, I will pass it to you, and I think it's Mike is first.
Excellent. So just to recap, you will have 5 minutes to introduce yourself, and we have one question for each of you, which is, why are you interested in serving on the Planning Commission? Okay. Thank you.
Push. So I've lived in Sammamish for 27 years. For the past 5, I've devoted my energies to community service. As you know, I'm on the Planning Commission currently. I'm also the chair of the Board of Directors of the Issaquah Food and Clothing Bank. I'm on the Sammamish Y Board. I'm an associate or crew leader at Washington Trails Association. I've done trail work on just about all of the parks here in Sammamish. I do other volunteer work that I'm not going to bother mentioning right now. The list is kind of long. All that volunteer work has given me great insights into other voices and other needs in the community. As far as my work experience, I've been an engineer. I have done management consulting. I've led a business. I have advanced degrees in civil engineering and business. And in many of those roles in my work experience, I had to deal with or work with multiple cultures. I actually managed businesses in 4 different countries and dealt with strategic planning that could need to deal with a lot of trade-offs that I think prepare me to help with the Planning Commission. So why am I interested in continuing on the Planning Commission? I think I bring both the experience and the capabilities to help add value to decisions that the council's making and for the benefit of Sammamish. And what do I mean by that? Well, during my first term, I learned a lot. Actually, I'm almost embarrassed to say how much I learned. There's a ton of stuff. And so that knowledge about what's valuable to the residents of Sammamish, mundane things like municipal code, learned a bit more about how to deal with conflict and difficult situations, and also a lot about the complexities of the comprehensive plan and all of those elements. I like to think that I demonstrated the ability to dive into the details of complex subjects, work with trade-offs, work cooperatively with others on the commission to come up with good, balanced, and pragmatic solutions for the recommendations that we gave to you. I am especially interested in contributing to solutions that can improve the environment here in Sammamish that we all value, while also meeting the needs that our community has, including those of affordable housing. I think that although some people look at those as like either or, that there are solutions that can be beneficial to both. So I ask that you reappoint me to the commission. I would be thrilled to be able to see the comprehensive plan through and to continue to add value. So thank you.
Thank you. Hisham? And please pronounce your name. Hisham. Hisham. Okay, great. Thank you.
Again, my name is Hisham Al-Khawad. I have been a resident for Sammamish for almost 8 years now. 8 years ago, my family and I relocated to the Pacific Northwest from Chicago. We looked around all the Seattle metro area for a city that's safe, peaceful, diverse, excellent schools, parks, entertainment, convenient access to groceries, healthcare, you name it. Sammamish was the one that checked most of our boxes. And I still remember the first time we drove down 228, my wife and I, we started nodding our heads that this is it. This is where we want to be. Our 2 kids went to the schools here. They both graduated from Skyline. They loved it, and we love it too. A little bit about my professional background. Graduated with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering back in 1991. First job out of school was working for a design company, crunching numbers all day long. 3 years into crunching numbers, started working outside, supervising, managing construction sites. Found that way more interesting. I'm now dealing with people instead of dealing with numbers. And this made me start changing careers, started becoming more involved in construction projects, went back to school, master's degree, construction project management this time, started working after school for a GC in Chicago until I came here. Worked on so many different projects from healthcare, higher education, commercial, many different types. An opportunity came here in 2016 to work for Swedish, and I came here. I've been with Swedish since that time. Currently, I'm the senior director for Swedish, overseeing design and construction. That's basically managing all capital improvement projects from Merseyville on the north side to Centralia on the south side, the entire Puget Sound region. Have a team of project managers, project coordinators, finance analysts, taking care of all the Swedish work in all the acute care facilities, outpatients, including the two we have here in Sammamish, the nursing home we have in Essequa, all of them. Why do I want to serve in the committee? Well, having been a resident of Sammamish for the past 8 years, I have observed how the city evolved and appreciate the delicate balance required to preserve its unique character while accommodating necessary changes. Change is the thing that, it's the inevitable that we all deal with every day, but we have to do it just in a smart way. I have seen the phase 1 of the town center development. I have seen the Pine Lake Middle School, Sunny Hill Elementary School, Lake Sammamish Trail, and the many residential developments that they went up during the past 8 years. And looking forward, honestly, to seeing the phase 2 and the phase 3, and I think there's a phase 4 of the Sammamish Town Center, the new Lake Washington High School, I lost it. What's the next one I had in mind? Because I stopped reading and I started talking, that's what happens. So I'm very passionate about contributing what I learned during all those 30 years to the city of Sammamish. I just can't find a better place to put all this knowledge into service more than the place I call home. And I'm eager to actively start working with the fellow commissions, Mike and others, to just help make it just a better place for everyone, for the people who currently live here and for those who are going to come in the future after us. And just want to say thank you.
Great, thank you. So next up we have, is it Navranjan?
Yeah.
Great.
My name is as difficult as it is.
Okay, yeah.
So people call me Nav here, so good evening, everyone. My name is Navranjan Khanna, and basically from India. Just a quick introduction. 30 years in corporate world, different countries, different functions, different industry. Almost 10-15 years in volunteering. Came to volunteering, worked for many organizations in India, adopted some schools with a corporate team, worked with Boca Helping Hands, and then I came to Sammamish from Florida. Started doing some volunteer work, and before I go to the question why I want to be in Planning Commission, I would like to say why I want to work here. I have a full-time job, so I still want to do that. So I got into 2 volunteer events, and I just want to share with the experience with all of you guys. I met few of you over there. I met the city staff over there, and I could not, it was pleasantly surprised that how enthusiastic they were in those charity programs. I haven't seen any city officials or council members or people so passionate about the work they're doing. They were not been, I was talking to many of them, and I realized that they were doing it with their own. They were not being instructed to do something. So it gave me a passion to go and attend more events, and I did that, and then I thought, how do I can contribute more? And that's the reason I want to work for City of Sammamish, just as a passion with the passionate people and also as a learning opportunity. Now back to the question why I want to work in a planning commission. So I believe when I came here, I want so much praise about Sammamish because everybody has done it, so it's a reputation. So if we bought a home here, it's a very true evidence that yes, we like Sammamish than other cities. Some of the areas which I saw is stormwater facilities, which is unique. I've never seen that. in Florida or in any other states where I've stayed. I've seen this roadside kind of project, and then I start looking into talking to some of you guys, and somebody was telling me, we are building a town center. And I said, really, we should have a town center, but where it is, I've not seen it. So my imagine coming from Singapore and Florida, where we have a Boca town center, such a big town center over there. So I was looking around, and I, of my own, drove 2-3 times over there to find out where is the town center. And I couldn't find it out. And then somebody guided me, hey, why don't you look into the websites? There is a full-fledged plan, there is a video. Why don't you look into the town center? And I look into the town center and it says, really, that's interesting concept that we are not planning to build together as one thing. It's a scattered one right on the street of this side, and then we have a metropolitan market. So I like that, to be honest. I like that concept. And I thought, maybe with my experience of, I've done real estate, I've done facilities work, I've built campuses, I've managed long teams, diversity and inclusion is in corporate culture, we do all the time. So I thought let me try it first time to see if I can add some value to it. And it will be a great learning opportunity for me also. So I think that's where I'm here. I won't mind if you don't select me, and I'm giving this interview for the first time like this. I'm used to give interview in corporate culture, but not like this, 8 people sitting on one side and one guy is talking. I'm sorry. I'm nervous because that's not I'm experienced to, but that's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Sumya?
So in order to keep my thoughts organized, I have written it down. I hope that's okay. Esteemed members of the City Council and my fellow Sammamish residents, imagine, if you will, a young girl in bustling India, eyes glued at a kaleidoscope of code flashing on the screen. That girl, brimming with curiosity and a dash of chaos, was me, Soumya Mishra. I may have not sprung from a Bollywood epic, but my journey, like any good screenplay, has been a windwhirl of unexpected twists and turns. My journey began with a Bachelor of Engineering degree, earned with the vibrant land of India. It wasn't just formulas and equations, though. I craved for vibrancy in expression, so I took a leap on the runway as Miss Pune, the city I lived in, proving that code and creativity can dance together. But beneath the sequence, another rhythm pulsed. Music, like code, resonated deeply with me. I found my voice in melodies of Hindustani classical music. The craving of new horizons led me across the ocean, clutching my textbooks and my thermos of chai to embrace the challenges and opportunities here in the United States of America. I earned my master's degrees of computer science, skillfully navigating the complexities of code. At VMware, the land of virtual machines and cloud castles, I worked on building walls of protection for our digital highways. My expertise at Microsoft lies in designing and implementing code-based systems that not only meet the demands of modern businesses, but also pave the way for future innovations using artificial intelligence. But technology was just one brushstroke in the vast canvas of community for me. I saw potential in girls hesitant to enter the tech world and became their cheerleader, igniting the spark with coding workshops and tech talks, volunteering my time at various organizations promoting women in tech. I also had the opportunity to serve for the cause of diversity and inclusion as a volunteer board member for NGOs like Intermuse and Sadhana. And then the cherry on top, Mrs. India 2019 runner-up. Standing there, adorned with a crown brighter than any Diwali Rangoli, I realized something transformative. A tech queen in a sari can rewrite the script. Every evening, whenever my 2-year-old toddler allows me to, I take a leisurely walk around my neighborhood, enjoying the tranquility of the sun whenever it comes out in Seattle, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind. One particular highlight of my walks was the towering tree that stood proudly around my lawn. Despite the tree's beauty, I couldn't shake off a nagging worry. What if, during one of the fierce storms that occasionally swept through our area, the tree were to fall on one of the houses nearby? Then one night during the storm, my fears came to life. As the winds howled and the rain slashed against the windows, I heard a loud crash outside. I rushed to the window, and what I saw was the tree had indeed fallen. But not on any of the houses nearby. Instead, it had come crashing down on the road, blocking the passing by vehicles. As I watched the authorities work to clear the fallen tree, it struck me how fortunate it was that the tree had not landed on one of the houses. Reflecting on this experience, I realized the importance of thoughtful urban planning and construction. A well-planned layout of the city with careful consideration given to the plantation and placements of trees and natural elements would mitigate the risk of such incidents. Today, I stand before you not as a stereotype, but as a proud resident of the city of Sammamish, eager to contribute to its future. My journey, a tapestry woven with code, fashion, music, and community, has equipped me with the skills, the passion, and the audacious spirit to make a difference. My journey began with a head full of code and a heart for community. As a computer scientist, I understand how technology is woven into our city's infrastructure. I'm also a passionate advocate for green spaces, having championed local park cleanups and volunteered at community gardens. Then there's the thrill of solving problems. Zoning mysteries or traffic tangles, bring them on. I love working with others to find smart solutions. I consider City Planning Commission as the backstage heroes who orchestrate the symphony of our city's growth. And joining the City Planning Commission isn't just about my skills, it's about learning, growing, and building something bigger than myself. So, if you want a volunteer who is tech-minded, community-powered, and loves solving puzzles, I'm your girl. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and dig into the details for a better Sammamish. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Pamela?
Can I just say your 2-year-old must love bedtime stories from you?
Good evening. My name is Pamela Randolph. I've lived in Sammamish for 16 years. I have a background in water and wastewater technology, and I've managed large capital projects. I am interested in the Planning Commission because it is the commission that is most involved with the direction that the city is moving in. The Planning Commission sees the big picture, from environmental impacts to housing, transportation, parks, open spaces, and more. Having input into the comprehensive planning process intrigues me. I have recent and relevant experience implementing long-term plans that meet the goals established by a city council. The goals I've met were similar to the city of Sammamish in that they focused on environmental, social, economic, and governance aspects. This experience, coupled with my technical background and experience in reviewing and writing policy for city council review, leads me to believe that I would be a strong addition to the Planning Commission. I recently attended a workshop developed by Dr. Kate Averill, who is a world-renowned expert in sustainability concepts, which focused on integrating sustainability concepts in ESG, environmental, social, and governance dimensions, and how they can transform planning, operations, and reporting. I recently had an opportunity to review the work plan and recognize the delicate balance between meeting the goals and growth requirements placed upon the city without negatively impacting the established long-term vision and our community that our community needs. A coordinated approach could help long-range planning efforts, ensuring that goals established are achievable by our community and in alignment with community needs is essential. The work plan, 2023-2024 work plan, includes goals focused on high-performing government, environment, trust, transparency, safety, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, housing, financial sustainability, and transportation. But of all these, I think one of the most important ones that our city is facing is affordable housing. Given the City Council recognizes the need to balance social, economic, and environmental elements in planning efforts, it makes sense to incorporate a sustainability model into these principles. Having clear and concise strategies and measurable goals will help determine when objectives are met. The bottom line is I have the skills, background, and ability to evaluate long-term planning efforts, ensuring that they're in alignment with the goals identified by the City Council, while not losing sight of sustainable practices, because sustainability concepts should be integrated into everything the city does. Most of all, this opportunity will allow me to give back to my community, which I have called home for 16 years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Council, if I'm reading this correctly, there are 2 four-year positions, so please vote for 2.
While the votes are being tallied up, I wanted to make sure that we did say, and I know everyone joins me in this, oh my gosh, thank you so much, all of you who applied. All of you are very qualified, and we are delighted to see the span and the breadth of the types of applications we received. I'll tell you, we were nervous, because a few weeks ago, we weren't seeing a ton of people signing up. And we were thinking, oh boy, we're gonna have to give out ice cream sundaes or something. And then to see the deluge of fabulous, fabulous people come in. And so whether you are selected or not, for heaven's sake, please don't give up on us, because we won't give up on you. We would love to see you as part and parcel of what we do here at the city. There are going to be committees and task force and different tiger teams that are put together for the entire balance of the year that will need your skill and expertise desperately. So I'm pleading for people to stay engaged.
All right. I definitely echo what Deputy Mayor Howe said, and I do also want to say we often get vacancies throughout the year that people need to leave commissions. So I know we'll definitely keep your names on the list as well, because this was, yeah, I think a pleasant surprise to have this many qualified candidates. So Mike and Hishram, congratulations. Thank you. You have been appointed. And so both of these terms, position 1 and 2, they end January 31st, 2028. So thank you again, everyone. All right, would anyone like a break before our marathon of 15 interviews? Okay. Yeah. So let's take let's be back at 8:10. So thank you again. All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, so last, we have our new Sustainability Commission. So we do have 7 vacancies, and we had 16 applicants, but we just appointed 1. So we now have 15 interviews to go through. I will have Councilmember Lamb read the question, and the first person up is Artie. And they may be online. Oh, there we go.
So I just want to thank everybody who applied for the Sustainability Commission. This is our newest commission, and it was really evident to me reading the applications how passionate everybody is about the environment. So thank you. So you will have 5 minutes to introduce yourself, and the question that you'll be answering is, what topics would you like to see the Sustainability Commission work on during your tenure if you are appointed?
Sure. Thank you. I'm Aarti. I've been living in Sammamish with my family for the past 5.5 years, and in Seattle for almost 15 years. I have a communications background for over 12 years, and I have worked on various ESG projects and public health in the past on initiatives like indoor air pollution, organic farming, hepatitis C, renewable and alternate energy, climate change, and energy efficiency. I was able to create a profile for corporates through various communication channels and spread awareness. The campaigns helped in developing strategic partnerships with microfinance firms and helped in creating scaling business solutions that empower underserved populations to earn a living income through access to clean energy products and services. The opportunity to combine my interest in sustainability while improving my understanding of corporate responsibility and business has been hugely rewarding, and that's the reason I'm interested in this role. Currently, I'm working on a project for CDC on NBS modernization to collect and gather information on infectious diseases like COVID-19 and HIV surveillance. I would like to see the Sustainability Commission work on climate action, waste management, and sustainable transportation. I think we should leverage communication and technology to drive awareness and actions that can help with reducing our carbon footprint and increase our renewable energy use. We can start with simple ideas and collaborate with our community and schools to get our young generation and kids involved in building these. Some of the examples and ideas are like having a mobile solar charger for EVs that can be requested on an app on demand for people who don't have charging stations at home. The other would be drive awareness and help households manage wastage of water and electricity and move toward using the most efficient appliances. A simple idea is to build an app that can show electricity usage of a house so people can monitor it in real time and turn off any lights or appliances that are not being used. We could also work with local business and help them reduce the electricity usage when they close their office spaces. We really need to build a sustainable local transportation solution within the city for everyone to be able to reliably use public transportation. I think it will be really good if the entire community can work towards it. And that's how I can help if I get the role. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great, thank you. All right, Steve?
My name is Steve Christensen. We moved to Sammamish 37 years ago for the environment and a desire to raise our children in a region with natural beauty. We've watched the area grow by an order of magnitude and are now blessed with the potential opportunity through the Sustainability Commission to make a meaningful contribution to our beloved community. In March 2023, you finalized the city's greenhouse gas reduction goals by issuing a resolution establishing the Sammamish Climate Action Plan. The goals are challenging and should be, and I'm convinced they are achievable. Therefore, the first priority is to address the resolution goals through education on the critical importance of reducing our carbon footprint. Second, we must develop a means to quantify our progress. Electricity and natural gas usage can be monitored with the assistance of Puget Sound Energy. Vehicle miles traveled, however, is more problematic, especially when we consider the vehicle mix and its dynamic nature. Our high natural gas emissions equate to an average of about 10 metric tons per household. which likely means there's a high percentage of gas furnaces in the city. To address these building emissions, we need to electrify, with heat pumps being the obvious choice, and education as a key topic is important for this transition. For example, I think there are at least 3 misconceptions regarding heat pumps. 1, they don't work well when it's cold. To address this issue, the DOE has the Residential Cold Climate Heat Pump Challenge, which requires a heat pump to deliver 100% of heating capacity without backup at 5 degrees Fahrenheit. There are now 9 manufacturers with equipment that meets that requirement. 2, given the higher acquisition costs, there are rebates from various agencies, including PSE and the federal government. The Inflation Reduction Act is loaded with incentives, rebates for households with AMIs of less than 80 and less than 150, and tax credits for households with an AMI above 150. And 3, yes, when the power goes out, they don't heat, but neither does your gas furnace. This information and more must urgently be part of a citywide education program for the residents. A sustainable Sammamish requires a vigorous education program to inform the residents and help them make electrification choices. The third topic focus should be on home energy audits. An audit can help with weatherizing and equipment choices that reduce energy use and create a healthier environment. We can help homeowners find certified auditors through the DOE Home Energy Score Program or the Building Performance Institute. Local subsidies are likely available, and at the federal level, there's a $150 tax credit toward an audit. Through the years, we've had 2 energy audits on our home. Electrifying our households should be done with a plan and an eye on taking advantage of the various rebates and tax incentives and credits available. This approach helps with the acquisition cost while reducing our carbon footprint. We also need to emphasize that monthly costs will be lower, allowing for easy payback within the life of the electric appliance. Getting started now means the slope of the emission reduction chart on page 10 in the Climate Action Plan doesn't need to get any steeper. Electrifying also means we consider transportation. EVs, I believe, are in our future. So incentivizing residents to convert to an EV through, for example, the addition of public charging sites will go a long way to reduce range anxiety. The Climate Action Plan does have additional challenges that will also need our attention. Our waste stream, charging for all these EVs, and water use, and care for our natural carbon sequestration assets, to name a few. However, our collective carbon footprint is our highest priority. Time is now, as Governor Inslee said today. Any delay would be a betrayal of our children and our grandchildren's future. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Larry? Sorry, Crandall. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. A brief summary about Larry Crandall. First, I am sustainable. After 19 years, I am still here, and I want to be involved. Whether I am fortunate enough or not to become a member of the Sustainability Commission, it's not the point. The real goal is for the city of Sammamish to have a cohesive and constructive commission. About 3 years ago, an analogy appeared in the introduction to the Sammamish Urban Forest Management Plan concerning Joyce Kilmer's poem. I think that I will never see a poem as lovely as a tree. In addition, the message went on to state that a tree had an encyclopedia of knowledge and information. Using a climate-related subject, an iceberg has about 85% of its mass below the surface. The Sustainability Commission, during its meetings, will be verbalizing about 15% of its knowledge above the surface. The remaining knowledge will be out of sight, however, available for use in the future. Therefore, remember to recruit, retain, and recognize the work that the Sustainability Commission is doing, has done, and will do. Like an iceberg, my articulation tonight needs to be minimal compared to the knowledge and purpose that I would bring to the commission. In other words, be brief, Larry, listen and learn. Now for the topics. Discuss scheduling an in-person tour of a recycling facility for the commission. Second, consider joining with other entities to plan programs and initiatives for the Earth Day this year, which is held on April 22nd. And the global theme is planets versus plastic. Third, communicating the message of environmental awareness to a wide diversity of various audiences through many mediums. Next, consider an investigation of encouraging solar paneling installation, especially to new constructions with tax credits. And finally, review ways to reduce the environmental impact of transports and encourage a circular supply chain. Local is local. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary?
Good evening. My name is Mary Emick, and I've lived in Sammamish for 25 years. I'm interested in practical ways we can implement environmental and sustainable practice to reduce waste in our homes and community. My background is in English and education, and some of the topics I'm interested. I'd like to work on the education and sharing of information, tips, resources with our community of practical ways we can implement environmental practices with information, maybe in the monthly Sammamish magazine, website, have a presence at Beaver Lake on Earth Day. Increase recycling and composting in Sammamish, and so that less goes in the landfill. I compost and would love to share my tips and encourage others to compost. Prioritize reusable and refillable products and limit single-use plastic consumption when possible. In a recent study, I think it was today, 250,000 nanoplastic bits were found in a liter of bottled water. Work with the Commission to find ways to help our community become empowered to make better decisions about purchases and to share tips with them, such as bringing cloth produce bags inside of our grocery bags when shopping, or lining our kitchen trash bag with a paper bag instead of plastic bags. It takes 20 years for a plastic bag to disintegrate. and then it still remains the plastic. One of my interests is gardening, and including sustainable gardening practices using native plants and non-toxic pest control. I make my own moss killer for my driveway and weed killer for weeds in the sidewalk cracks using ordinary natural materials, and also use a flat head screwdriver, but just simple things. And I would be interested in working with the Commission to implement how our community can share and adopt environmentally safe practices. And work with the Commission and experts in conjunction with the city and local fire department to encourage residents about the need for adopting fire-resistant landscapes as we live in a wildfire urban interface. And there's someone I listened to today at a club about just that, and we could have a speaker. Anyway, I would like to see the Sustainability Commission work to adopt the Republic Services Countertop pilot program and work for accountability in seeing progress in the reduction of our waste and an increase in our recycling and composting. And lastly, I'm interested in working with the Commission on reaching out to legislators to pass environmental legislation, including the RAP Act, extended producer responsibility laws, and House Bill 1900, which would advance improvement in recycling and make it easier. So thank you.
Thank you. Jared?
This is a Zoom interviewer.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, yeah, so my name is Jared Frank. I have lived in Sammamish for about 19 years. I was incredibly fortunate to have grown up in such a beautiful and well-maintained area, and it gave me a deeper appreciation for nature and our connection to it. My favorite place to walk has always been Soaring Eagle Park, and I would be paddleboarding out on Beaver Lake this moment if I could. I moved away for a few years for school and to start a life with my girlfriend. I ended up focusing on psychology, philosophy, and then eventually library and information science. And through my education, I really fostered an interest in sustainability and ethical living. Because of that, my professional career has not been in libraries like many of my peers, but in sustainability and ESG data management. I currently work at NASDAQ, a stock exchange and financial services company, helping public companies manage their ESG and sustainability data on a day-to-day basis. After a few years, I really began to miss Sammamish and the nature and the people, and convinced my girlfriend to come back or come with me and move back to the city with our 2 cats in 2023, which is great. My mom, grandma, and grandpa, they're all here. And now that we're settled essentially into our new living space, I have been looking for a way to use my expertise to give back to the community, and I think that this position is a perfect fit. And so the 2 main topics that come to mind that I'd like to focus on if I'm to be appointed would be to make sure that Sammamish's plans for environmental sustainability and sustainability as a whole has good data management, and also furthering and fostering engagement and education within the community. So to my first point, Sammamish is very focused, and rightly so, on environmental sustainability. The Climate Action Plan was adopted last month, is very comprehensive and has a lot of rigorous planning and shaping from the community advisory group, like the 6 different focus areas and 8 goals among the areas. And they, focus on all kinds of data, from GHG emissions to resiliency planning. This is very data-driven and will require a vast amount of information from various stakeholders. and necessitate good data management. And my background is in helping entities manage their sustainability data disclosure to dozens of different organizations and legislative bodies. So I know very well how important quality data and quality data organization are, and how meeting new data disclosure needs can be difficult. Quality information is an important part for all facets of sustainability and helps tell a story about how entities help minimize harm and maximize benefit to all aspects of a community. I think that a focused lens on this would really help Sammamish meet and exceed its goals for an environmentally sustainable community and help tell its sustainability story. And then to my second point, I would also like to focus on engagement and education within this various communities of Sammamish. Essentially, I think that through learning opportunities and knowledge sharing, we can empower the individuals in our community to know both how to make a positive change and how important their actions and the changes they make are. Spreading awareness of things like the Sammamish Climate Challenge and further demonstrating how effective citizen engagement can be is a huge part of creating a thriving, sustainable community. And I personally hold it very close to my heart. So with that, I conclude. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you. Victor?
This is also a Zoom interviewer.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening. My name is Victor Fung, and I've been a Sammamish resident for 36 years. My wife and I, we raised our daughter and son in Sammamish, and we're very fortunate that both of them are raising their families here. We love living in Sammamish, and I felt the best way to show the appreciation is to to ensure the high quality of life that we enjoyed is available for future generations. My son actually graduated from Western Washington with a degree in environmental sciences, so I get an earful when we have discussions around sustainability. I believe the role on this board is to assist and to guide the city of Sammamish to reach its sustainability goals. In terms of experience in sustainability, I can point to my work experience in biopharma, where we were trying to make some impact in terms of our carbon footprint. In our business, large amounts of high purity water are required to manufacture biotech drugs. And that requires a huge amount of energy to produce high purity water. And so I was asked, and I led a technical team, a scientific team, and it took about 2 years, and we've developed technologies that significantly reduce the water consumption in our processes. The industry has adopted this approach, and it's currently competing an alternative way to manufacture drugs. And I share this because I think we all have a responsibility, from corporate to our community and to us as individual households. In terms of the topics, we heard some really great, fantastic topics, and I don't want to repeat them here, but maybe to add to this list, I think the current quality of life and growth and expansion of Sammamish will be dependent on a proactive plan to ensure sustainable water supply. And I like to see that we have something like that. I'd like to see plans for protecting our community and hardening our infrastructure against the effects of climate change, effects such as wildfires and the incidence of unhealthy smoke to our community. I also would like the Commission to develop a process or a tool that the board members can evaluate solutions that are brought forth, to evaluate them such that we can measure equity impact for all the Sammamish stakeholders. And really the goal is for us to be able to use this tool to make sure that the solutions that we come up with are equitable across the community. And I'm speaking to residents from all socioeconomic levels and also other parts of the community, including the business community here at Sammamish. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and I think it's a great commission, and for me, it's really an opportunity to ensure that this community remains great for future generations.
Great, thank you. All right, next up, is it Eve Nicholas? Nick.
Great pronunciation, though. Very few people can spell or pronounce my first name. I'm Nick Garson. I'm a professional geologist. I moved to the Sammamish Plateau in 2003 for a lot of the same quality of life reasons people have mentioned here. I began my career as an environmental consultant, focusing on soil and groundwater cleanup projects. I transitioned over to the Boeing company 25 years ago, and I'm part of Boeing's Global Enterprise Sustainability Group. So what we focus on is environmental remediation. But I realized about 15 years ago, when we do cleanups of the environment, it consumes a tremendous amount of resources. It takes energy to clean groundwater. It creates pollution. There's air emissions from treatment equipment. In many cases, we're moving contaminated soil from one place and we're putting it into a landfill. And it's very resource intensive. So I helped spearhead a program where we looked at the triple bottom line on projects. How can we meet environmental objectives, compliance with laws, at the same time come up with ways to conserve resources and save money at the same time? Through my work there, I was involved with an organization called the Sustainable Remediation Forum, or SURF, and it was a lot of Fortune 100 companies, the EPA, environmental agencies, where I led this team. I was the president. I was on the board of trustees, but our goal was working together as an industry to solve the common problems of environmental contamination. That gave me a pretty solid foundation in that aspect of work, and I've tried to incorporate those principles on the remediation projects that I manage in my daily life. One example is last year I was fortunate enough to be part of a team that received Boeing's Environmental Sustainability Leadership Award. What we did on this project, this was a project, a manufacturing facility in Australia, where we were cleaning up chemical contamination in groundwater, and we took advantage of the naturally occurring microbes that are present. And we figured out that there's bugs in the groundwater. If we can get them the right food source, they'll break down the contamination naturally. Now, in the process, it's very water intensive, and so I wanted to avoid the use of using a lot of potable water. It was that was probably one of the most severe droughts they had in Australia at the time. And so we just came up with a real simple plan. Let's extract the contaminated groundwater. Let's put it into a tank, put the food source in, inject it back into the groundwater. Simple solution. We saved 30 to 50% of potable water usage on that project. So ironically, I've spent most of my career improving the quality of life in other communities, but I haven't had the opportunity to do it where I live. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to be part of this commission. My focus area, my career, my background is in water, so I'm really interested. I read the Climate Action Plan, and it's robust, comprehensive, but I really want to commend the team. It's less than 40 pages, which I think it was Mark Twain said years ago, I would have written you a shorter letter if I'd had the time. So thank you for a 40-page Climate Action Plan. There's a lot of good information in there. Again, my focus area is in water, and I think that our water on the Sammamish Plateau is probably one of our biggest resources. 80% of the water we consume comes from groundwater. Now, when I talk to colleagues in California about water conservation in Washington, they look at me like I'm crazy, right? It rains here all the time. Well, but I don't think we can take that for granted, because as Sammamish develops, as there are more impermeable surfaces on the plateau, there's less recharge of the aquifer. That has an impact on our resources. One of my areas of expertise is PFAS. We have a PFAS issue in the lower Issaquah Valley Aquifer due to firefighting foam. I've been following what's going on with the water district and other matters. I'm really hoping we get the funding to install the treatment system to treat those chemicals. But my point is, we can't take the groundwater on the plateau for granted. There are more chemicals like PFAS that are looming, and we really need to think carefully how we come up with a conservation plan for this resource. So in the Climate Action Plan, it discusses we need to understand what's the baseline consumption of the plateau, how do we manage development, and how do we save this resource for the future, and then come up with some of the ideas other people have mentioned in terms of how can residential and business users implement technologies, techniques so that we conserve water as a resource for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Max?
Okay, these next two, we believe, are going to be on Zoom.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Hello. Sorry for joining over phone. My internet, I think after the storm, has been really finicky. My name is Max Tiedelman. I am currently the Programs and Operations Coordinator for the Seattle Southside Chamber of Commerce down in SeaTac. I graduated from Western Washington University with a degree in business and sustainability a few years ago in 2021. I actually grew up in Sammamish. I lived here for 18 years before moving to Bellingham to go to school there. And after graduating, moving back in with my parents to save money and work on my career. And I've been living here for about 3 years. So to address the question of what topics I'd like the Sustainability Commission to work on during my tenure if I was appointed, I actually feel that, as many people have already said, the Climate Action Plan does a really great job of breaking down the major areas. So I'd like to build on that and say sort of which ones I think are probably the highest priority, as well as the ones that I am most interested in working on. So I think that the highest priority would be transportation and land use, followed by buildings and energy, and finally resiliency. So to go into a little bit more detail on that, transportation and land use I think is especially important because it is such a heavily driving-based city for transportation, and especially because so many of the working people commute out of the city for work. I believe it's about 60%. And so any impact on driving we can have will have a huge impact, especially long-term. Within that, I think that the first goal of reducing vehicle miles traveled per capita is especially important. And I think within that, strategy one of decreasing it through land planning is, I think, one of the most important routes, especially early on, as the sooner we can make those sorts of changes, the longer we can enjoy their benefits. Moving on to buildings and energy. Because they're such a huge greenhouse gas emitter, as well as the fact that the goal requires public, private, and community stakeholders to be engaged to have the sort of effect that we need, I think it's an extremely high priority. Within that, the goal one of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, I think, is the highest priority. And then within that, strategy three of engaging with community programs, because again, I feel that community stakeholder buy-in is important, especially with how much energy use happens in the home. And then also relating to the second strategy, which involves a lot of engaging with private stakeholders. And then finally, resiliency, I feel often gets left by the wayside in discussions like these. And I think that, as many people, again, have already mentioned, we are already feeling the effects of climate change. We didn't used to have these huge smoke seasons every summer, but it's a reality that we do now, and we have to be prepared for them, and we have to make sure that our communities are prepared for them. And then obviously there's only one goal in the resiliency focus area, but the first strategy of using planning and code development to increase resiliency, I think, is the highest priority. So again, I feel that the highest highest priority focus areas would be transportation and land use, buildings and energy, and then finally, resiliency. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your consideration. And I appreciate you having me.
Great, thank you. Ramya?
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Hello, yes.
Great. Thank you, and it's great to be here at this event and listening to all the wonderful ideas and being able to share my ideas and thoughts too. Thank you for this opportunity. A bit of an introduction about myself. I've been a Sammamish resident for the past 14, 15 years, mother of 2 teenagers who've graduated from Skyline and in UW and learned a great deal being a parent. Professionally speaking, I am a digital transformation and technology leader, been at Microsoft, Boeing, and Primera Blue Cross. And my personal passion has been to leverage my skill sets to give back to the amazing community and the city that helped me raise my wonderful kids and family. I remember when we moved from Pennsylvania to Sammamish here, we were driving by 228 and it was a starking difference on how we kind of lived back there and the beauty in the nature that Sammamish offered. It was a no-brainer for us to quickly just make that decision, and we've never regretted ever since. I wanted to share a very small story as to what got me into sustainability. I've been in the technology industry for many, many years now, 20 plus years, but a story where when I went back and visited my home country in India, I had a beautiful experience where I was trying to buy a piece of a bag of vegetables from a local vendor, and I didn't have a bag. I just walked in and street vendor, and he refused to sell me those vegetables. And that day I walked back home without having to buy anything because I didn't have a reusable bag. And the person would refuse to sell me anything in a plastic bag. That kind of change agency woke me up from inside. I came back here to Sammamish and went on with my daily life, going to QFC and Fred Meyer, doing our regular shopping. And it occurred to me the amount of plastic that there is where we package our food. And I couldn't stop myself from cataloging all the opportunities and the problem statements that we have where we could make a change, a positive change. Long story short, many years after, that led me to found a nonprofit called Swadhriti. And basically what we do is we work at a grassroots level to understand the current challenges at a community level and enable small communities to be stood up, which are circular and sustainable in nature. And this opportunity was perfect, a natural next step for me to give back to my own community, not only for my motherland, but also the community where I could raise my kids. The culture that I would like to bring forward is a culture of sufficiency and enabling meaningful connectedness over profits and consumption. Because technology has made things easy for us to get access and get that quick gratification, so to speak, and we can buy at scale. but we never think about what happens after we buy. So my focus would be based on people, planet, and prosperity, balancing all those three together. I would love to take the amazing climate action plan that has some audacious goals further and take us from being carbon neutral, hopefully, to being nature positive. If not in my term, but at least contribute towards that, right? Every plastic bag that we use takes about 500 years, 20 to 500 years to decompose. And it's not acceptable for us to continue to see those single-use plastics still in our grocery stores. Yes, there has been some progress in some of the stores, but many of the grocery stores that I visit, I still have to use those plastic bags, and I have no other option. I would love to focus on that as one of the primary areas when I get this opportunity. Taking a step back a little bit, a broader perspective that I would bring to the panel and the commission would be an approach of what I coin as EASE: educate, align, strategize, and execute, right? We absolutely need to educate many of the residents, including the youth, on why some of these changes are important. And from there on, we can build our strategy and execution plans. One of the opportunities I see is
Apologies, I'm going to have to interrupt you. It has been 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Timothy?
Good to go? All right. Evening. Thanks for having me. I just wanted to start off saying how wild it is to see all of you people after seeing all of your names on the streets and in the voting ballots. But I've never actually seen you in real life, so this is kind of cool for me. So that's kind of fun. And then also, I don't know how you're going to choose tonight, because this is just an incredible group of people. I thought I was going to be like, stand out with my background, but everyone here is so highly qualified. It's amazing. So good luck with that. A little bit about me before I get into what I would like to see the commission focus on. I am also a long-time-ish resident of Sammamish. I've lived here twice now. I graduated from Skyline in 1999 as the first graduating class from the school there, having moved here just for my junior year. Went to the University of Washington, which, if my voice goes out, I just got back from Houston 3 hours ago, so apologies. Yeah, it was a great game. We don't win them all. It's okay. Well, we did win them all up until then. Yeah, went to the University of Washington, left. 10 years later, I came back because I had gotten a job at Amazon. And then, as things go, my wife and I, we had a daughter, and when we had that daughter, we were living in Seattle, and we said, you know what, it's time to move. Where should we go? So we came back here to Sammamish, and I've been living here since then. Now raising two of my children. I have a daughter and a son. Both go to Margaret Mead, so we're super excited about that. Great school, really close, really fun to see them grow here and have an experience sort of like I had when I was a child. But having seeing them and seeing the world that's kind of happening around them got me really excited about how I can make a change. That the 115-degree summer is what really kind of spurred me into moving into this space. And because of that, I've started looking for ways that I can have an impact. I work at Amazon, and there I did the same thing. I said, what can I do there to make an impact to help change the world? And I actively sought out a job on the worldwide sustainability team, where now I work, and help build tools that help Amazon understand our carbon and our water and our waste impacts in both Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3, so that we can understand what we can do indirectly, and what we actually need to influence everybody else to go do. I spent a lot of time working on the retail website, and I've learned a lot about how we need to help influence people to make those better decisions, and how you have to help educate and explain what really matters. So quick anecdote, which will help me get into where I think the commission needs to go. But when people shop on Amazon, the biggest thing they worry about is cardboard boxes. And they think if they can minimize cardboard boxes, that's where they're going to have their impact in the environment. That is actually totally false. The carbon impact of those boxes is actually really, really small. What really matters is that you can bundle your orders and get them to show up at once, so your one driver shows up, and that's what it is. It's that last mile. It's the transportation from A to B that actually drives it. So we build solutions that allow people to bundle orders. We put green leaves on them to try to help them and help educate why that's what's really important. And that's where I think the Planning Commission needs to focus. So getting to the question at hand here. Is the climate action report or climate action plan that you guys have published, it's been talked about quite a bit, is really, really awesome. I loved reading it. It was amazing. But what really stood out to me is the levers that the city has are really small. It's really the population that is driving the impact here in the city. And what we need to do with the Planning Commission, in my opinion, is get out and get into the streets and help understand what people think, help make sure they're all getting the right ideas in their head, kind of back to that box versus trips to your house, and help explain why what matters is what matters, and then get that feedback and that impact from them and say, how would you solve this problem? How can we as a city kind of work on this together, and then figure out ways to communicate back that we're doing something, we're taking these ideas and implementing them in the city and showing the actual impact. And I think it's all kind of baked in that climate action plan, except for that bit of like, how do we get the real people with the levers, the rest of us, the citizens, into doing it. And that's where I would start my focus, leveraging the work that's already been done. So yeah, that's where I think we need to go, and that's a little bit about me. So thank you so much, and again, good luck.
Thank you. All right, Larry Jordan. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm grateful that you have actually put a climate action plan together and are looking for a group of people to help enact, help recommend actions, help support that. I think that's fabulous. And so hats off to all of you for coming in and volunteering for these roles. I am a 15-year resident of Sammamish. I am very, very passionate about the environment, as I think the entire room is. I'm an engineer by trade, and as engineers, one of the rude things to say is you need to sample your own dog food. And what that means is try all the products. So, my first foray into sustainability is I have an electric car, solar panels, heat pump. I'm using Ridwell for recycling. So I'm learning about what people, how they interact with those services, what drives their value, and how it helps them. Because I think one of the challenges is a lot of people think, well, what's in it for me? Great, the world has a lot of problems. How do we help provide benefits for all of the people involved? And through that, one of the things that I'm also doing is I work with a group called Climate Reality, and it's a group that was created by Al Gore, and it's about educating public officials and citizens about what we can do to improve our situation. From a work perspective, I've actually worked in a group that provides fleet vehicle management. What that means is I've got a fleet of trucks or a fleet of school buses. How do I make sure they get to where they're going on time with the most efficiency? And one of the things that means is transitioning to an electric economy. And so it's really hard. My team manages, through our customers, over 500,000 vehicles. And in the last 4 years, we've converted over 1,000 vehicles to electric. That's not a lot. So, and what's challenging about that is the economics that the business has to go through to solve those problems, create a profit, and do good for the environment. And I think that's where, as I was looking at the opportunities, to me, there's a big piece of looking at what are the opportunities. This is a long-term plan. What are the opportunities where we can show improvement sooner? You've put together a strong plan, but it's, I think, a 27-year plan. In order to sustain that, one of the things that we need to do is get early buy-in from people and show some wins, show some successes, show and address some of the higher areas of sustainability. In 27 years, let's hit the top things earlier. Let's get to those, show people some wins. And I think there's also a lot of things, there's ancillary benefits that come out to the people, such as when I provide this electric vehicle, I'm now paying a lot less for gas. Yes, I had a higher cost, but over a few years, it pays off. And I think there's some things that we need to do to educate our residents about the long-term impact and improvements for their lives. So I looked at that as a sort of a guidepost of where I want it to look. And it made me think about, high value, early success, making sure the city participates and shows that we're involved too and we're doing the right things to follow our own rules. And to me, after reading the report a little bit, your biggest impact is reducing energy use. And, it's a lot about gas. How can we do that? Some of the community energy programs where we can hopefully help customers and residents save money. Some of the work around building policy to promote decreased emissions in the sector. I think those are huge areas where we can provide value. I think transportation is a huge impact as well. Better mixed use planning reduces driving. Affordable and accessible clean transport provides additional value for customers. Community-wide EV charging. Finally, waste. That's the thing that's in everybody's house. Expanding recycling programs. Pretty easy, shows value, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Pam Miller.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pam Miller. I am a 39-year resident of Seattle. My husband and I moved here from San Antonio, Texas. And, I think we still had covered wagons and back in the day. So I've seen the area grow tremendously. And with that has come a lot of good, but also there's been some big challenges. And we've talked about this at length in various forums over the last few years. We have the housing issue, we have, the cost of living issue, we have the transportation issues, trying to get off at 228th during rush hour is a challenge, of course. But to me, I grew up as this nerdy little kid in Texas who back at the original, and I'm dating myself, yes, I'm old, who was one of the first kids that marched against driving to school on the original Earth Day way back in 1970. So I have a little street cred there, saying, no, we need to find alternatives to diesel school buses and, big pickup trucks and whatnot. So that's what kind of got me going. I think the big life-changing moment for me where there were two of them. One was I was a volunteer for a technology-based NGO called NetHope, volunteer, and then they had me go to Puerto Rico 6 weeks after Hurricane Maria, and just seeing the utter devastation that the island had occurred, and even all those weeks later, and being there and doing storytelling for this NGO and cooperating with a lot of the other NGOs. That was a real life-changing moment for me. The other one was the 115-degree summer. We, up until 6-7 years ago, we never had smoke here. People thought I was crazy. They're like, my God, it just rains all the time in Seattle. How can you have smoke? So I've seen that, occur, and it's becoming more frequent. And, it's obviously a big concern for all of us. Professionally, I have a longstanding career in the tech PR business, so tech PR communications. So I've worked on some pretty technical issues and products. And so one of my abilities, and this has been discussed before, one of my abilities is to take complex information and break it down and then explain it and evangelize to the various stakeholders and to get them to act. Several of you had talked about, let's go out, let's take these great ideas, let's go evangelize them, let's go to door and get people to enact change. I think we need to, I've looked at the plan a couple of times, which, by the way, is amazing, and taking that, and then how do we start, and how do we get action, and how do we move forward in explaining it and get people to start taking action? And then how do we, some of you have the background in data management, which is wonderful. How do we take that and then show people that we've made progress? People lose quick interest very quickly if they don't see it's working. It's on to the next big thing. It's just a part of our society is moving on to the next big thing. So I think breaking it down, evangelizing it, and keep illustrating over and over again as to how we can move forward. So for me professionally, I am in the process of taking my communications practice and I am pivoting or transitioning, I shall say, into climate tech and to sustainability. So this, I think that not only we're doing good for the world, but also I think that there's good business to be had from this. And if we can then figure out how to explain this to the various business community here as to how we can turn this into good business practices, not just in our own homes, I think that we'll be very successful. I'm blown away, by the way, by the presenters here tonight. I'm feeling a little intimidated, and that doesn't usually happen. So for me, in terms of policy work, I happen to also I've worked with a lot of big companies over the years, working with their public policy people, members of government. On a more localized level, I am also a member of the Pine Brook Meadows HOA. Just came from an urgent meeting. We have some falling trees that we have to deal with. So, this is an important issue for me and I think for the community, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Paul?
Good evening. I've been here 23 years, feels like I need to say that. So I want to serve on the Sustainability Commission because I believe we can be better stewards of the Earth's resources we have here in Sammamish. Naturally, our work would involve efforts to do what we can to combat global warming and creation of greenhouse gases. I've spoken to you before during public comment sessions about recycling and composting a couple of times in recent months, and I'll continue to do so. I have a finance background, and that helps me with data analysis and reporting. I emailed you recycling, composting, and diversion handouts this afternoon. That result from my analytical skills and public record requests. My recommendations in the handouts come from researching top-rated recycling and composting U.S. cities. And I also look at what other countries do. I feel so strongly about this that I also do analytical work and provide public comments with several other East Side cities. I'm in communication with King County Solid Waste Division to learn more about grants and resources available to cities to improve rates of recycling and composting. Topics I would like to see during my time on the commission would focus on significantly increasing our garbage diversion rates away from the landfill through increased recycling and composting, not a surprise there. Energy conservation, water conservation. I think education efforts are good, but they're not enough. Our communication to our residents must be simple and direct. The Sammamish Climate Challenge is a terrific website. If you haven't looked at it, it's amazing. Yet only 250 people have signed up. So we need to make sure what we communicate is quite relatable to each person. Each person is so busy, we need to get their attention. I think we need personalized feedback, personalized to each resident. So each person is engaged based on their actions. So we need to use existing data collection if they exist, and in some cases create data collection to allow us to share specific feedback to each resident in the city. It's possible. You know it is. PSC does this for us now. So PSC shares with us how we consume energy relative to our neighbors. We could do the same with water usage feedback compared to our neighbors. So I could get a sense not just how I did last year, but how my neighbors are doing with similar lot sizes. And for composting and recycling improvements, we need personalized diversion reporting. That's not a mission to Mars. We can do it. To each household through pickup and weigh technology, each household knowing their own diversion rate, how powerful that is in changing behavior. That's what we want. I believe people care about our Earth. They want to do better. and they want to do better for us and for our descendants. I believe we want to change to act in more sustainable ways. And we need education, tools, and more direct personal feedback. We can do better. Thanks.
Thank you. Pamela?
Hello, my name is Pamela Randolph, and I've been a resident of Sammamish for 16 years. I have experience that I believe would be relevant to the city of Sammamish in order to achieve their sustainability goals. I have developed a successful sustainability plan in my last position. Recently, I participated in a training workshop focused on developing sustainability models and would like to put my experience into practice for the benefit of the city. Having a working knowledge of what sustainability is essential. Sustainability is a term first presented in 1987 at the Brundtland Report. The definition is, humanity has the ability to make development sustainable, to ensure that it meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Integrating this concept into everything we do can impact planning, operations, and reporting. Oftentimes, I've used the example of a three-legged stool. With a three-legged stool, if any one of those legs falls, the plan is not sustainable. So a three-legged stool, the legs would be economic, social, and environmental. To that end, the Sustainability Commission should have a basic training and education in which to evaluate an effective model. This is the most important topic I would like to see the sustainability focus on, specifically creating a model that can be used to evaluate planning, operational activities, and governance throughout the city. Initially, the model could incorporate elements of the Climate Action Plan, but they should be updated as new elements, measurements, and reporting aspects are added. The model would be a work in progress, as it would be ever-changing. The model that I have been referring to is basically you have your elements, your three-legged stool on the bottom, and you integrate everything that you're doing throughout your city and throughout your different planning, different commissions, so that you ensure that the decisions that you're making will be sustainable and support the goals that you have defined for the city. Secondly, I would like to see a one-page report card with live data reflected on the City of Sammamish webpage. This would be linked to a measurement of how the city is doing based on established goals and sustainability model, based on the sustainability model that is chosen. Third, the model that is chosen should reflect all business and transactions within the City of Sammamish city limits, to include deliveries, commuting, working remotely, schools, buses, shopping, etc. To facilitate this type of effort, City Council would communicate with local businesses to establish a baseline footprint of their transactions, transportation, heating, electrical needs. Businesses and households could volunteer to participate in detailed surveys, which would help them, which would be utilized as placeholders for those who don't wish to participate. It is difficult to get 100% participation in any effort like this. Creating a constructive collaboration between the Planning Committee and the Sustainability Committee, ensuring that they are working in tandem, would be a fourth area of focus. It is commendable that the City Council is focused on sustainability. To wit, sustainability must be evaluated within the context of social, economic, and environmental impacts to ensure future generations can meet their needs. I believe this opportunity would allow me to give back to the community and utilize the skills and experience that I have achieved. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
And I realize I'm the last one before everybody gets to go home, so I'll try to make it quick. And I too just got back from Houston, so I'm a little hoarse. Hi, my name is David Thielen. I'm a lifetime Washington resident, Sammamish resident for almost 20 years. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. I've worked at the City of Seattle, KPMG Consulting in their business consulting group, then Microsoft. Most of it was very focused on business and business improvement, and I'm now the CEO of a company called Tree Free Biomass Solutions. It's a company that makes sustainable products out of a grass cane that competes with wood and fossil fuel products. We align with many of the United Nations sustainability goals. We are currently working with IKEA and have a supply contract with one of their suppliers of wood panels. IKEA uses 1% of all the wood harvested in the world every single year, so it's a really big deal. I volunteered a lot when I was in the Air Force. Did a lot of volunteering in the community, but got away from that when I got focused on my career. I'm a dad to 3 wonderful daughters. The 2 older ones, my wife and I were lucky enough to adopt from the King County Foster to Adopt program. They are now both out of the house, and now we have only one bright and energetic 12-year-old at home, and she goes to Englewood. So I'm starting to have more time, and I would like to get back into volunteering my time more. I saw this announcement and read through the CAP and thought I could leverage both my focused business background and insights into sustainable programs. Sustainability, total cost of ownership, and scope focus are 2 of the areas that I think I would like to see entwined into the Sammamish CAP. Example 1, the 100% EV target by 2050. I believe we should understand the total cost to implement and run that program to set goals we feel we can measure and successfully achieve in a targeted time period. Most large programs are complicated, and sustainability can be extremely complicated, and there are a lot of conflicting challenges and information. So understanding things like scope, schedule, and the cost is key, all while understanding impacts on Sammamish residents. The CAP draft has a great rough scope and schedule. Making sure we understand the cost of implementation and staying focused is critical. I've seen companies try to implement sustainability solutions without understanding the cost of fully implementing these projects, and then the projects gets mired in confusion and frustration, not only by the project team, but a lot of times by the community that supports those projects. The second example was the greenhouse gas emissions. We have some different challenges here in Sammamish than other cities do. A lot of cities can put pressure on large industrial businesses to decrease their greenhouse gases, and that takes the pressure off of putting any real restrictions on the residents because the emissions is so large. The draft cap shows here in Sammamish, 88% of greenhouse gases are residential, so impacts will be heavily on Sammamish residents. I've always been passionate about making a difference. I would like to use my background to help make a difference as we strive to have a more sustainable community here in Sammamish. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Council. Yeah, so we have 7 votes to cast. So out of the 15, and I think we will stick with the most votes goes to the, 2028 position all the way down to the 2025 position. Krista, if we have a tie, have you thought of an ingenious way how to break it?
There's the potential of just a revote, maybe.
For that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I don't know what, if there's ties for the term lengths, but we'll see how it turns out.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we do have two people, so Timothy and Steve, as our across-the-board winners. So Steve and Timothy, if you would like to decide who would like it until 2027 and 2028, please. 27, okay. So Steve is taking it position number 6. Yeah. Steve Christensen, position number 6. And Timothy is position number 7. And then I believe next we have, we'll just do alphabetical. So Nick will be position 5. And then Paul Quinn is position 4. Paul and Nick, would you like to decide between 1 year? Sorry, so there's a 2027 ending and a 2026 ending, but you both are tied. 26? Okay, so sorry. Position 4 is Nick. Sorry, yeah, I had that right on here. Okay, sorry. Position 4 is Paul. Position 5 is Nick. And then David. I think you're the only number 5, so you are position 3. And then Jared and Pam both. So Pam, you'll be position 1, and Jared position 2. Those both end in 2025. Does that sound right?
We will audit these results.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Krista. Yeah, that was
It appears
crazy.
correct.
Yeah, I did not expect that. And yeah, thank you all so much. This is like, I think we're all a little bit blown away. I think really, yeah, thank you. All right. And like I said, for everyone else, we have lots of openings all the time. Every year we do this, so please come back and please look out if we have any people leave commissions this year. We would love to have you all back. So thank you again and congratulations.
Just for confirmation, they
Yes.
will be confirmed at the meeting next week, so you will officially know your term and length. It'll be approved by resolution on Tuesday.
Yes.
Mayor,
Thank you,
can we just say
Krista.
how hard that was?
Yeah.
That was, you guys were all amazing. That was so hard.
Everybody was good. Everybody was really good.
That was crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Seeing this how you live in Seattle and not Sammamish, Pam. That's you says I lived in Seattle, not Sammamish. That was your opening statement.
Alrighty, so next up, we do have our, sorry, what are we doing? Oh yeah, external committee appointments for the council. So I'm gonna pass it off to Scott, who's probably gonna pass it right back to me.
Thank you, Mayor. Just really quickly for the public and for a reminder for council, there are a small set of boards and commissions regionally that the council self-appoints to. We essentially self-appoint every year, and so this is the opportunity for council to either confirm or change. There's one vacant position on the Salmon Recovery Council, the RIA 8, and otherwise, it's turn over to you, Mayor, for any changes or any folks that want to step down from their current spots.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm gonna start at the top. So Arch, Karen and Amy, are we still good? Okay. Eastside Fire and Rescue? Good?
Good.
All righty. Unless anyone has interest
Yeah, that's what.
in being on EFR. Okay. And then obviously you guys will stay on the FAC, Finance and Administrative Committee for Eastside Fire and Rescue. Eastside Transportation Partnership. Councilmember Gupta, I know you've expressed interest, so Councilmember Treen and Councilmember Howe.
So I think they're
Get your microphone. Sorry. Yeah.
I would like to remove myself from that.
Are you sure, Kent? I think they meet at 8.
I know. If they change though and make it 9, I can't make the meetings. So.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I'd like to stay on. I probably
You wanna
will
be an
still
alternate?
attend. I could do the alternate then.
Perfect.
If that
Yeah.
would be all right with you, Mayor.
Yeah, so ETP will be Gupta, Howe, and then Treen is alternate.
Awesome.
Okay, K4C. Okay, Councilmember Stewart, Deputy Mayor Howe. Anyone else would like to join that? All right, we are good there. Kokanee Work Group. So I know Councilmember Gupta, you had expressed some interest, and then Councilmember Treen and O'Farrell. What do you guys feel on that?
I'm just the alternate on this, so I'm good at giving that one up. If Councilman Gupta wants to be the alternate, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Trina's staying on as the primary, and then Councilmember Gupta will be the alternate. And then so Salmon Recovery, let's go ahead and move Councilmember O'Farrell to the vacant spot. Would anyone else like to join Raya 8 as the alternate?
It's lots of fun.
What time is the meeting? Councilmember Howe, or I mean, sorry, Deputy Mayor Howe? What time is the meeting?
They're usually 2 to 4.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah. That can be tough, yeah.
You got it? Sure. Deputy Mayor Howe is your alternate.
Excited about that.
Awesome. Okay, so pick. I think we have an interest for Councilmember Lamb to stay on and Councilmember Gupta as an alternate. Is everyone good with that? Cool. And then YMCA, you're stuck. Just kidding. Does anyone else want it? Only if you want to step off.
Would you like to?
No, only if you want to step off, but if you're happy there, then you should.
Sure.
Is that a
Yeah.
stay? Yeah, okay. Is that, I don't know what the sure is.
I'm not sure what question I'm
Yeah.
I'll stay.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Howe is staying as Y board. All right, I think we are good. I wrote some notes, but we're really gonna have to rewatch this. Don't count on this. Okay, now we have public comment.
Shoot.
If there's anyone online,
I don't believe we had anybody pre-register to comment, so
Perfect.
and there is nobody present to comment in person.
yeah, great. Ghosts. I think we're all the way down to council reports. Okay, Scott, do you have anything for city manager stuff?
Thank you, Mayor. Just really, really fast. It does appear that we have some snow in the forecast. So good times. We are prepared and will ramp up operations as necessary later in the week if that's the case. Just one FYI on that. It looks like now it might be coming in a little bit on Thursday night and into Friday. So just want everyone to be aware. And along with that, it's supposed to be cold throughout the weekend. We presently have a ML King Day of Service Day where the ground might be frozen. So just ask folks to look at the social media before you show up on Monday and make sure that we're actually able to hold that event. So just FYI for everyone.
Did the storm, like windstorm last night, cause any issues?
The main issue that happened in town is we had a tree fall on a power line and down the line on Issaquah Falls City Road. As of a little bit ago, PSC was still out working on it. They had to replace the pole, so that takes longer to then get the lines back up and then get them reconnected. We had asked them to hold off until Endeavor Elementary had got all their students out before we turned they turned the power off. So it took a little longer than otherwise, but that's the only thing that I'm aware of.
All right, thank you. I think we'll be posting Audrey's personal cell for the snowplow. Councilmember Stewart, you submitted a report. If you'd like to go
I
over
had a
that.
quick question for Scott. If I recall, there's also a volunteer event on Saturday scheduled, so that might be something we also need to update people about. That one might actually be even worse because I think it's supposed to be snowing on Saturday. So,
Appreciate that, Councilmember. We'll be on top of that.
and will
Thank
that only be posted on social media, or will that also be updated on the website, on the calendar? If people go to look on the website, is that something? I don't know if that's something we can do on the weekends or not, but it's.
We can manage.
Okay, awesome. My report hopefully speaks for itself. There were a couple of big events. We have another EFR meeting coming up this Thursday, and I have to admit, Councilmember Howe, I've not looked at the agenda yet for our meeting in 2 days, so I don't know if there's anything critical on there. I apologize. If there is, I'll send an email tomorrow if there's anything critical there. There was a really great Growth Management Policy Board meeting with a lot of great presentations, which is part of the reason why I put that report together. I highly encourage folks to look at some of that. There was a lot of good information on housing and some interesting information about traffic safety that I wasn't aware of, so that was also quite interesting. And then I'm sure you all saw, but our lobbyists sent information. There are bills that have started, right? The session started on Monday. There are bills that if, as individuals, people want to go sign into for or against, there are some very important environmental bills moving through rather quickly. So that's out there, and I encourage people to follow the bouncing ball, follow along. Thank you.
All right, is there any other reports from anyone? All right, would anyone like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thanks, everybody.